And I like to sit by the fire with a candle and watch TV or whatever in the dark. But you see, I'm kind of into creepy, but you see you see all these eyes, right? And again, I kind of had that locked eye thing with, some people may think that's really weird or whatever. I just really spiritually, I have a belief. People can share it. They don't have to share it. They can buy the book. They don't have to buy the book, but this is my experience. I locked eyes with the lion, and I thought, what if I created a book where I humanized these characters and wrote short stories about them and had them live human lives, so it sheds a light for people, almost becomes a metaphor for people, that there's a real thin line between animals and human beings. And, a lot of our emotions are the same. Scientists have debated this for years. But recently, in the last 10 years, there's so much new technology to test. Now they're looking at it and saying, they really are. I mean, I saw a video of an ape that knows 650 words and can actually communicate. Sure. With, and was teaching the apes in his pack how to use the sign language. Yep. So I've been exposed to so many animals that I've seen dogs shed tears. I've seen grief when an animal loses its bonded pair. And a lot of other things. And so I thought, well, I could do this with a lot of the stuff that I've collected over the years, because I like to do props and stuff like that, and I love textiles. So I started writing the book in conjunction with the characters, and I was looking, I probably had 15 animals done. And I was looking for a photographer to do the book, and I had looked because my firm, we shot fashion all over the United States for years. I mean, Target was shooting in mostly LA and New York because the talent was there. And so I was familiar with a lot of photographers around, but I wanted this aesthetic like this. I mean, kind of this, just, it's not an eerie aesthetic, but it's just painterly, and the lighting is fabulous, and
very theater-esque sort of
exactly
style to me.
Yeah. And my assistant, who knew Shelly, said, well, what about Shelly Mosman? And I'm like, who's Shelly Mosman?
Down the hall.
And I'm shocked that we aren't, well, I didn't have a studio in here then.
Okay.
We didn't know each other because we know so many of the same people. So I sent her an email, and it was about this long, and she doesn't read emails or listen to voicemails.
That's a really long email.
You said that in your response back. And we met, and I showed her, just icky shots of some of the animals that I had taken, and you go on from here.
Yeah, tell us how you got involved in your part of that.
Yeah,
process.
we had an interjection through Ken.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, taxidermy? Oh, I don't know. I photograph animals, but all my animals are breathing, and they're related to their subjects in some way, and I'm not going to do it. No, thanks. Yeah. And then we ended up meeting, and then she kind of, in a shorter version than now,
Yeah,
kind of brought it up and showed me that I saw some stuff in person, and I mean, we both play dress up. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I do a lot of that as well. So
You do.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. She helped me visualize it, other than me having to translate it through words, which doesn't really work for me. Mm-hmm. So just talking and explaining things and help me visualize it. And I'm like, well, heck, let's try it. Let's try one. This is my studio, and I don't know if you had been in the casket before. You came to my studio, if you've ever done an art whirl or anything like that. But we shot a majority of these in my studio through COVID. I mean, we met and then like in October maybe we started shooting, and then
Yeah.
COVID in 19 we met.
Yeah,
So it's kind of our COVID project.
right, yeah.
So you would not consider yourself a background in art, more just design, or do you think you're artists and
Well-
like, from what I'm trying
Oh,
to
okay.
pick between
Like who did what?
well,
or-
like you have the idea of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
It sounds like, and then but you need the photographer to pull it off. And how would you describe that?
I think I just helped put your vision together.
Yeah.
She had the vision.
Yeah, that's what I've gotten in the other
Right.
conversation.
Yep. She had the vision, and then I introduced you to Carter. So I was like, if we have like painted scenes behind this, it's really going to add to the visual depth of the whole thing instead
Right.
of shooting everything against just a wall or color.
Yeah, and Shelly had that scenic.
Yeah.
And so the first shot we did was
This one over here, the lion.
like night, I mean,
Which
it
is
was,
the same as the ostrich.
it was awesome that it was that shot, because when I saw the final and I showed it to people, they were like, oh my God, that's awesome.
The first shot was pretty quick.
Yeah, really quick. Well, you
Yeah.
shoot quick,
I mean,
you know.
and then her poor car. There's a lot of schlepping. Oh man,
I live in a
everything
prop
comes from her
house.
house.
So,
Her house is a prop house.
Yeah.
So
You rent out
we'd
your
load
props.
it up, shoot mostly from your house, but then we'd unload it, bring it in, set it up, load it back, load it in, and then you again then had to unload it again.
yeah,
It was
Yeah.
a lot of schlepping, but
it was, that part was hard,
hardcore.
yeah.
And then of course every weekend, then we were shopping buddies. Then now I'm a
Yes.
flea market person.
Yeah,
Yes.
We
Well,
just
going to
looked at
Paris,
those
Paris
every
flea market
weekend.
is
Yeah.
amazing. So
Yeah.
you know.
every weekend.
Yeah.
Antiquing,
Yeah.
flea markets, and
it's kind of
whatever.
slowed down for a while.
It has.
but
It's now because the book has slowed down for
Yeah.
a little bit now. But it was a couple of
well,
years.
production of it.
You were looking for more props
Always.
for everything.
Yeah.
And she's,
sometimes
and
when
she's
you go to
always
those
looking
places,
for props to shoot her stuff too.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and
you go
clothes
in
and-
a prop will inspire that you don't even have yet. You're like, oh, well, I could do something with that, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden the picture comes out of a prop that you don't even have yet.
Right.
Right.
So.
And the pictures also, I mean, I would see, like, a good example is, I had bought that, see that bobcat? I had bought that trapeze, that's an actual real trapeze costume that I had bought in Europe. Because I just thought, and it was bigger, I mean, and I just thought it was like, oh my gosh, this is so fun, you know? And I have a rack of like old costumes and stuff like that in my house. I have a small studio in my house, and I saw that bobcat and I thought, that's the trapeze artist because of the pose. And a lot of these, like the pose was what made me think, oh, you know, I couldn't put these things together. So I would scribble, you know, the way that I thought it should look, and also pull things from the internet. And then I worked with a woman who's a seamstress and has done a lot of work. She's really good technically. A lot of work on costumes and things like that, because it's hard to make costumes for animals because they have no shoulders. You know, like people think, oh, you got this and you just stuck it on them. No, you have to cut the whole thing apart. And she would cut muslins, you know, and that actually, that vest, that leather vest on that wolf, I found a guy I wanted the wolf to have some spiky leather, because he's a Viking in the book. And I had that helmet. I bought that helmet at a flea market in Berlin. And I found a guy on Etsy. He was on Etsy, and he was the costumer for Kiss. And I said, it was crazy because you know, you can only talk to them through Etsy.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'm doing this book, and it has taxidermy dressed up like, and he's like, what? And you can't put your phone number in there.
Oh.
You know, so it was all kind of communication. We finally got connected on the phone though, and I can't figure out how it worked, but I can't remember. But yeah, he did that. Sue cut the muslin for that. I sent him the muslin, and he just sent me back and some pictures, that I pulled off the internet of old Viking.
And who is the seamstress?
Sue Siegel.
Sue Siegel.
The book is written in time periods.
Yes.
And it's written in a style, there's a name for this style, but it basically, it jumps time periods basically in the book. And if you read the stories, you'll see that, like, it'll start out in Elizabethan times, and I'll use a lot of Elizabethan
Sure.
words like mutton. They were eating mutton and they were doing this and that, and then it'll jump to a hashtag. You know what I mean? So it's got this fun, weird kind of back and forth between modern words and, and historical words. So.
But and then so are you? It sounds like I haven't read the book because I don't have a book. But are you telling a story through those time periods with the animals, or are there people at that point? Or
No, they're all short stories. They all get humanized. They all have lives like humans with the aspects of humans. So they have the same talents and flaws as humans.
Have you seen the book?
Yeah, I've seen it, but I haven't
okay,
read it, so
okay,
I'm not versed in the how it went.
Right.
Okay, so, and each story is a separate short story. The focus is overall that we're all part of the animal kingdom, and these animals deserve our respect, The purpose of writing the book was I wanted to do something that was fun and fantastical that would get people's attention, because it's like she's using this paradox of, humane treatment of animals and taxidermy. What? But when they find out it's humanely procured taxidermy and that kind of thing, and there's a donation going, and